Chapter 6 Summer Days. The early summer days on a farm are the happiest and fairest days of the year. Lilacs bloom and make the air sweet and then fade. Apple blossoms come with the lilacs, and the bees visit among the apple trees. The days grow warm and soft. School ends, and children have time to play and fish for the trouts in the brooks. Avery often brought a trout home in his pocket, warm and stiff and ready to fry for supper. Now that school was over, Fern visited the barn almost every day to sit quietly on the stool. The animals treated her as an equal. The sheep lay calmly at her feet. Around the 1st of July, the work horses were hitched to the mowing machine, and Mr. Zuckerman climbed into the seat and drove all over the field. All morning you could hear the rattle of the machine as it went round and round, while the tall grass fell behind the cutter in long green swaths. Next day, if there was no thunder shower, all hands would help rake and pitch and load, and the hay would be hauled into the barn on a high hay wagon, with Fern and Avery riding at the top of the load. Then the hay would be hoisted, sweet and warm, into the big loft until the whole barn seemed like a wonderful bed of timothy and clover. It was fine to jump in and perfect to hide in. Sometimes Avery would find a little grass snake in the hay, and it would add to the other things in her pocket. Every summer, the days are like jubilant times for the birds. In the fields, around the house, in the barns, in the woods, in the swamp, everywhere love and songs and nests and eggs. From the edge of the woods, the white-throated sparrow, which must come all the way from Boston, calls, "Oh, Peabody, Peabody, Peabody," on the apple bough, and Phoebe teeters and wags its tail and says, "Phoebe, Phoebe." The song sparrow, who knows how brief and lovely life is, says, "Sweet, sweet, sweet interlude, sweet, sweet, sweet interlude." If you enter the barn, the swallows swoop down from their nests and scold, "Cheeky, cheeky," they say. In the early summer, there are plenty of things for a child to eat and drink and suck and chew. Dandelion stems are full of milk, clover heads are loaded with nectar, the frigid air is loaded with ice-cold drinks. Everywhere you look in life, even the little ball of spit on the weed stalk, if you poke it apart, has a little green worm inside. And on the other side of the leaf of the potato vine are bright orange eggs of the potato bug. It was on a day in early summer that the goose eggs hatched. This was an important event in the barn cellar. Fern was there sitting on her stool when it happened. Except for the goose herself, Charlotte was the first to know that the goslings had arrived. The goose knew a day in advance that they were coming. She could hear their weak voices calling from inside the egg. She knew they were desperately cramped inside the shell and most anxious to break free and get out, so she sat quite still and talked less than usual. When the first gosling poked its gray-green head through the goose feathers and looked around, Charlotte spied it and made the announcement. "I am sure," she said, "that every one of us here will be gratified to learn that after 4 weeks of the effort and patience on the part of our friend the goose, she now has something to show for it. The goslings have arrived. May I offer my sincere congratulations?" "Thank you, thank you, thank you," said the goose. "Thank you," said the gander. "Congratulations," said Wilbur. "How many goslings are there? I only see one." "There are 7," said the goose. "Fine," said Charlotte. 7 is a lucky number." "Luck has nothing to do with this," said the goose. "It was good management and hard work." At this point, Templeton showed his nose from the hiding underneath Wilbur's trough. He glanced at Fern and then cautiously to the goose, creeping up to the wall. Everyone watched him, for he was not very well liked and not trusted. "Look," he began in a sharp voice, "you say you got 7 goslings, but there were 8 eggs. What happened to the other egg? Did it not hatch?" "It's a dud, I guess," said the goose. "What you going to do with it?" asked Templeton. "You can have it," replied the goose. "Roll it over to that nasty collection of yours." Templeton had a bad habit of picking up unusual objects around the farm and storing them in his home. He just saved everything. "Certainly, said the gander. "You may have the egg, but I'll tell you one thing, Templeton. If you ever catch the pokey-okey thing uggling your nose around my goslings, I'm going to give you the worst pounding a rat ever took." And with that, the gander opened his strong wing and beat the air to show that he was powerful. He was strong and brave, but the truth is, both the goose and the gander were worried about Templeton, and with good reason. The rat had no morals, no conscience, no scruples, no consideration, no decency, no milk of rodent kindness, no compunctions, no higher feeling, no friendliness, no nothing. He would kill a gosling if he could get away with it. The goose knew it, and everyone else knew it. With her broad bill, the goose pushed the unhatched egg out of the nest and rolled it over to the rat. Even Wilbur, who could eat almost anything, was appalled. Imagine wanting an old, junky, rotten egg, he muttered. A rat is a rat, said Charlotte. She laughed. But, my friends, if an ancient egg ever breaks, this barn will be untenable. What's that mean? Said Wilbur. It means nobody will be able to live here on account of the smell. A rotten egg is a regular stink bomb. I won't break it, snarled Templeton. I know what I'm doing. I handle stuff like this all the time. He disappeared into his tunnel, pushing the goose egg in front of him. He pushed and nudged until he succeeded in rolling it under his trough. That afternoon, when the wind died down and the barnyard was quiet and warm, the gray goose let her 7 goslings out of the nest and into the world. Mr. Zuckerman spied them when he came for Wilbur's supper. Well, hello there, he said, smiling. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 baby geese. Now isn't that lovely?